I'll skip the intro. Intro's good.
Good morning, Slotheads. Welcome to another Saturday morning cartoons. I pressed the button right as Joe was taking a drink. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Pete. How you
Here we
doing, buddy?
go.
Yeah, man. Who do we got in the chat today?
Looks like we've got Pistol Pete and So Fast Speedway.
Yeah, man. So fast. I think you're up really early, man. That really early. Thank you. We appreciate that. I don't know what we bring to the table that makes you want to wake up that early, but thank you.
You up really early or still up really late? I don't know how that works. I don't
He's
know
a party
where
animal. So
you're
fast is a
at,
party
but
animal for sure. He just got home.
there you go.
Um,
So, Joe, as I spill coffee all over myself,
oh no, what's going on?
I'm gonna want to ask you like what you been up to, but we're going back to back weeks this round, which is pretty cool. We were
Yeah.
just together last week, and in case anybody doesn't know, Joe and I wind up like chatting and doing some video chats like throughout the week too, and so yeah, we hung out like yesterday morning on the Discord. So that's a great segue. Hop on the Discord. You can chat with us. You can join a live chat with us on there. Ask questions, all kinds of cool stuff. But yeah, I'll go ahead and ask you anyway, since everybody else doesn't know what you've been working on all week. But yeah, how's your week? What you been working on? What you working on today?
All right. Well, my week's been pretty good. Cannot complain. Today, I'm actually just going to be, because Jen, my wife, she's out on a mountain hike, so it's just me and the dog. And I've decided to tune her car because she was like, "Don't touch my car; it's working well." And I'm like, "But it needs to be tuned. It needs to have some grease on there. It needs to have some oil." And so I'm going to do
Tell
it.
me what to
Well,
do.
exactly, with your own car. And I love her to death, but like the car has to be cleaned. It has to be, tuned up, and I just don't want it to break, and that's the only reason why I'm doing it. That's it. I'll just put a little bit of grease, a little bit of oil. I won't go nuts. I won't try to experiment on her baby, and that's it. And I have I actually have a lighting issue. I have the first time one of my LED lights burnt out on one of my cars, on my Austin Martin, believe it or not. And it really sucks because the Austin Martin has this beautiful backlight that fully illuminates, and one of them is burnt. And I think when I had tuned it the last time, I might have squeezed the wires because they seem a little
Yeah.
damaged. But the other the other LED works, so I'm not really sure why. I mean, maybe it just burnt out because it burnt out. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a hot swap out of the Expo because I find that the Expo lights, which are super cool. I mean, I don't even know if you can see them. They're like squared. There's like four little squares, but you can hardly see them when they light up. So I'm like, no one's gonna miss them, and I hardly run this car anyways. So
Does
that's my
I
project for
wonder if
today.
my Aston Martin has a light bar all the way across the back? I've never even noticed.
It's beautiful. It's one of the nicest light setups in the out of all the cars.
Yeah, I guess I've never. I mean, mine looks just like that. Mine's the
So
blue one with like the heart
okay,
literally.
cool. Well, if it's the I only think they have one model. I don't think they made different models of Austin, but maybe previous years. But
Yeah, I'm sure it's the same mold. Um, yeah, I forgot to do this part, so we're gonna do it again. We've got pistol. That's not. We've got Raul from Conquest.
okay,
He
I know.
says good morning. We've got So Fast we talked about. We've got Pistol Pete, and of course now there we go. There's Pistol Pete.
Oh no, did I just break that? Okay, good.
And now this thing is acting wonky again, so that should be fun. He says they have two different Aston Martin molds. They do.
Okay.
That's what Raul says. How about that? DB9 and the Vantage. Oh, yeah.
All
Well,
right.
which one's yours? I don't even know what they look like.
I believe it's the Vantage.
Yeah, that's what mine is. Weird. Although I say that, I don't know.
Is it? Is it?
I suppose I can go grab it.
Yeah, I was about to say, is it close? My lighting's pretty bad. I don't know if I can see what I'm doing here.
Oh yeah, it definitely has Has a light bar all the way across the back. I've just never noticed.
I thought
This
it was one of
is
the nicest ones. That's the because is Aston Martin also Jaguar?
I don't know anything about
Are they the same company?
that. This is I gotta
Slot Journal.
reset this real quick. So
How you doing, Mark?
you're gonna have to buy me some time. Of course, you have both liveries, Raul. Of course, you do.
He has both liveries and all the colors and all the modifications. Let's see. This is turning pretty good. Now, just to add a little bit of grease, and then Jen will never know that I was messing around in her car. Just a little bit. So, Mark, morning. I had a really good conversation with Mark yesterday, and we were talking a bit about AI and a bit of the business and all that stuff. And if you guys haven't checked out his channel, do so. Mark, for me, is one of the most organized channels I've seen. So it's such a pleasure to watch his stuff. And we got on a chat about AI and slot cars because Mark used a little bit of an AI to segue, which I thought was so ingenious, into like a question, and I thought that was really smart. Keep it interesting. Um, yeah, she won't notice till she sees the video later. Yeah, if she watches. Then yeah, so we were talking about that, and then I had like a light bulb go on in my head because we were talking about how I kind of wanted to change up my track and what kind of theme I wanted to go, and I kind of wanted to go into that neon nights type of deal, and it got me thinking a bit about AI and how I can maybe integrate that without having to change my whole track. And I don't want to go too much into it because I'm still like, you know, flirting with that idea. So before I can start talking about something I don't really know about, but I want to thank you, Mark, for that conversation. It got my brain thinking. And another thing Mark brought up that I think is very interesting that I want to share with everybody is connectivity on the track. And maybe Raul can help us out with this one too. But Mark was telling me that he puts a copper, for the wood tracks and stuff, to use that copper tape.
Yeah.
He does that on his track, and he says he doesn't need jumper cables.
Copper tape over the rails?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, blew my mind too. Blew my mind. And I'm like, copper? And I'm like, that's so smart. Obviously you have to be very careful, like he was saying, you have to be careful that it doesn't break because it's very thin and very fragile. So, and basically
I
the
mean, it
stress.
makes sense because, like, right, you need jumper cables on the plastic track because the connectivity between each of those joints is less than perfect, right?
Mhm.
It's not actually continuous, and corrosion can build up in there. And so, if you have one piece of copper tape going across the whole thing, then yeah, it makes sense. You have much better connectivity. Um,
My
that's pretty
concern is
cool.
the switch tracks.
Yeah, but I mean, you would just either not lay the copper tape over the. I mean, you just have to follow the same. Uh, you know,
Line.
yeah.
Well, there is one connectivity, right? So there's only like
Brain's not
the
working.
yeah, because there's a negative and the positive. So as long as, because there's clearly, if I'm
Yeah,
just
you just follow
looking,
the same rails.
yeah,
I don't think it's that tricky.
yeah, because there's space, right? I mean, there one on each side is a continuous. At least one of them is getting full power at that point. Yeah, I think it would work. I think it's a great idea.
Raul wants to
Honestly,
know what your concern is with switch tracks. I think we've figured it out. I think it's just like it's right. Those are sometimes a little like daunting, a little scary. They're different than just a normal like positive negative. Like you have to be it has to be able to switch, right? Not switch, but you know what I mean. There's
No,
breakage.
my concern was the switch tracks because there is there's dead spots right before the switch
Right.
track. So you're
Dead
putting
spots. Thank you.
if you put the copper tape, then you have to put it. Obviously, I would put it on the rail, but now you have a disconnect, right? You have negative, positive, and then you have that little disconnect for that moment. Like, is it even worth it to put the copper? Oh well, no, it is because it's connected underneath, right? It's true. There's the jumper underneath. Um,
Yeah, that's what he's saying is the only ones you really have to be concerned with are the curved ones, which do have the jumper.
is it curved ones? Because Pete, you and I were having this conversation. Is
That's
it the
what we
curved
yeah,
ones,
we were talking
or,
about that.
or is it the single switch?
Because we were
I
talking
know the double
about
switches are okay for
when you
analog, but is it only specifically the curved switches, or is it a single switch over? Raul, you know
we were
that?
debating that. When you have the like the Axle Box or any of the switchers, um yeah, he says it's in the single. And so we
Okay.
were debating about whether because all I ever hear about anybody talk about is the curved. You can't have the curved lane changers if you're gonna have the switch. And Joe has mentioned that it's a single lane, so the right to left or left to right, even the straight ones. And that makes sense. Makes a little more sense now. But and the double cross don't have any issues. Yeah, because they don't have to do the same weird mechanics going one direction. They have to go in both ways, and it fixes it. It makes sense. I'm not adding a switch. We've talked about that. Not my plan. I'm going to talk about it again. I'm going to talk about it till I'm blue in the face. I did last week.
Excuse me.
Let's see. We chatted. Oh yeah. So Saturday morning we had our last episode. Sunday
Mhm.
morning I went to the swap meet. Here at,
Yeah, man.
at like 9:30 my time. I got a video coming out about my haul, but I'm gonna give you a little sneak preview. Picked up that light's awful, but that is a slotted Lola LMP. Pretty rad. It's an analog car. And then Raul helped me figure out what chips to get. I did order a slotted chip to match that one, but yeah, discovered that it's a plug and play, and this car does not have the plugs. So I'm gonna save that one. I'm sure I'll get another one in the future. And instead, I got several of the Slot Technic chips. I got two of these, so one for each of the cars I picked up at the swap meet. So that's pretty exciting. Um, but yeah, that's what I got going on. I was talking about curved lane changers and removing the jumpers and
Did you have a good experience though at the swap meet? Can you divulge that information?
you can watch my video, but yeah, I had a blast.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the whole premise of the video is that last weekend was full of slot car stuff and it was a blast and I had so much fun. And Saturday morning we did the show and talked about this, and you get a little buzz after the show, and that was a blast. And then the next morning we drove out to the swap meet and found some sweet deals, found some cool stuff, met some cool people. Yeah, it was a great slot car weekend last weekend. Hopefully this is the start of another one. I think I told you this the other day, but yeah, today is a daddy-daughter day when I'm done here. So my
Nice.
daughter and I have a date all day long today. And I'm gonna tell her that if I play Barbies and Ponies with her, then she's got to come race slot cards with me. So tit for tat, little lady. Quid pro quo, as they say. But yeah, it should be fun. We'll see.
Yeah,
I
of
don't
course.
know. Garth says, "Are you guys doing the stream every Saturday?" It is every 2 weeks, but we looked at the calendar and realized that initially we thought the 23rd and the 16th weren't going to work. And so we were like, all right, let's just do this one this weekend and then we'll have a bigger gap. And then, we went back and forth. Anyway, it's going to be sporadic, to be honest. But it's always going to be on Saturdays. That's all we can say. But the plan right now is we're doing today. We're going to do next weekend. 23rd, we're not going to be here. And then the 30th, which is the day before Easter, we're going to have a little special episode. I'm
Yes,
leaving
sir.
town for Easter, and I'm going to do the live show from where I'm leaving town, too. So it should be pretty cool. That's a great question. Actually, did everybody get the notification? I mean, we have already, a couple of different people that haven't been on the live chat, and hopefully that's it's working. The notifications are getting out there. It's interesting. Like I
Mhm.
make a post on my community page, and then like I get 0 likes, and I can't see any analytics on it, so I have no idea if anybody saw it or not. Um, but but yeah, it's be interesting to find out if you guys are getting the notifications and if that's working. So, but yeah, that's what's so fast. I assume that's so fast. I like that name, so fast Speedway. Pay attention to notifications. It assumes that you're getting the notifications. Hopefully, everybody is. And then Raul's asking me. I assume that's asking when Pete, is coming to Canada. Not anytime soon, but I don't know. Never say never. Never say never. Um,
All I know that is when you come to Canada, you're coming to see me first. So that means the boys from Toronto got to come see me. That's I'm just putting that out there. I'm just putting that out there. Unless Toronto's closer to you, then I'll drive 6 hours to come see you. I mean, that's fine. That's only fair, right?
I don't know. We calculated out. I like put it into Google Maps. There's no way I can drive. Well, I mean, I can, but
Get a
it's something
tra-
like
get a
halfway
camper.
was like 8 hours, wasn't it? I think it's
Get
like
a camper.
16-hour drive.
That's it. We'll meet in the middle.
Yeah, except then what? Just gonna meet at a hotel somewhere and just hang out.
Sit there.
Like, nah, we gotta be somewhere where there's a track to race.
Uh, oh, we could plan that
um,
out though. We could maybe do some research and see who's got like the coolest track halfway between us, and then meet up, and then like go there, show them what we're made of, and then like go home.
yeah, I'll just save up some airline miles from work and I'll come fly.
I'll wait till I hit the lotto, and then
Yeah. Plane tickets right now. I can't afford to buy one, especially when I'm buying more and more slot cars. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, I usually earn
Yeah,
up
man.
a one ticket a year, so maybe I can save one for that. Pistol Pete says, "What are you 3D printing lately?" Oh, and he says he
Yeah,
left
man.
a question on one of my printing videos. I think I saw it, man. But to be honest, in fact, I was on a call. I was chatting with Joe when you commented because I saw the notification on my phone and then I went to go look for the comment. And I couldn't find it. I don't know what happened. I think it's maybe because you were comment or replying to a comment that I had already replied to. YouTube Studio gets a little weird with comments. I struggle with it sometimes. And it's maybe just because the way my brain works. But I've been 3D printing completely unrelated slot car stuff. Some of the stuff, I don't know if anybody's heard of Gravitrax, but I've been printing some of that stuff for today with the little one. But the most recent slot car thing, and Joe's been wanting to ask me about this for like 3 weeks. So good work, Pistol Pete. It is the Dunlop Bridge.
Oh, it's done.
So printed that guy a couple weeks ago.
I didn't. This I'm seeing it for the first time too. That's
It's
awesome.
it's the
Oh my
coolest thing I've
goodness.
printed. It is the coolest thing I've printed so far. And really, the
Holy.
part that blows my mind the most is that I so I have a Bamboo Lab P1S. Anybody who knows 3D printers knows that you can get this like module for the top that will like change colors mid print, which is really cool. It wastes a lot of filament, I've heard. I think somebody in the community has one. I think, and I want to say it is. I think it's De Leon. I think De Leon has one. But
Leon.
where was I going with that? Oh, I don't have one. Um, but what I first time I've ever tried it, and it's probably really hard to see. But as you print in the slicer, you can have it stop on certain levels, and so you just have it pause, and then it sends you a notification that it's paused. And when it pauses, you can change the filament to a different color, and then start it again, and it changes that color and prints the next couple of layers, and then you can have it pause again. So this part right here, where am I? Right there. It's yellow on the outside, so you can see how it's yellow.
Yeah,
There, you
sick.
can kind of see how it's yellow. And then you can see right there, it's like white on the background. and then it's gray for the girders. That's all one piece that printed.
Wait a minute. So there's no painting involved right now?
No, there's no. Well, the only thing that's painted is the D's. So I
Oh,
got a
okay.
paint pen and did those because there's just. I'm sure I. Well, with that fancy, it's called an AMS, automatic materials system. With that, you can. I could have printed those in white, just the letters.
Yeah, that's what I thought you did.
But it's super easy. Like I just printed black and then a paint pen and just like, yeah, I
Wait
had
a
to
minute.
do
You
like 10
you
coats.
so with a paint pen, you painted white over black, and it's that clear? How many coats did you use?
Yeah, it's an enamel. I mean, it's an enamel paint pen. It's like, yeah, I don't know, probably like a lot of coats. It took a while, but that stuff dries so fast, and that the
Wow,
paint that comes
that's
out of those
impre-
paint pens are
that's impressive.
thick. Um, okay, so I gotta get caught up. Greg Gobb is the one with he's Worldwide Slot Art Chat. He's got an AMS. I think De Leon has one too, because he's been asking me. Well, he was asking me questions about it when I was doing 3D printing videos, but those videos were not performing very well, and I was feeling a little bit like work, so I stopped those for a while, and then I stopped making videos for a couple weeks while we were doing this because I'm having so much fun doing this. I'm focused on this, but yeah, I got to reach out to those guys. I want one, but I want to know. Everybody you ask about it is like, and I'm guilty of this some too. Anybody who has a Bamboo Lab printer is like a Bamboo Lab fanboy and thinks that every other printer is worthless. Um, I've owned other printers. I've used them. I've worked on them. I've tinkered on them. And while I love mine, yeah, they're all great. But I don't want to ask a fanboy if the AMS is great because I know their answer already. I don't even know who this person is, but I know their answer is yes, it's great. You need it. So um,
I'm gonna make a noise. I apologize if this is loud in the mic. I have to just turn on the system for a moment.
Raul's telling us he's got a full 3D print farm. As we always say, Raul, of course you do.
Raul's got everything, guys. Go check him
Oh,
out. Go
he's
check out his
printing
channel.
Wargaming Train. I assume like you have a shop to sell all that stuff. That's pretty cool. But then So Fast is asking me if this is all one piece. This is not all one piece. Sorry, it's a mistake. Well, misspoken. Like the tire, the black part. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. Because there's no way this would fit on my printer. I'm sure there's a printer that's that big, but this thing's massive. And then the wall pieces, you probably can't see the seam, but it's like 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 piece, 4 piece. Same there. But this wall, right here, that is 1 piece. It's just 3 colors because I pause it in the middle, change colors, and then. But yeah, it's a bunch of parts glued together. But this wall is not. Like that gray, that white, and that yellow is all 1 piece. But that's glued to the black, and that's glued to the stairs. I don't know if that makes sense. I probably just talked in circles and confused the matter more.
No, I
Um,
understood.
yeah. Thanks, Joe. That worked. He got it. So yeah, I mean, I wish I had a printer this big that could print something this massive. That would be cool. But
Dude, it looks
the other thing
ridiculous. Like,
too,
good job.
it couldn't print it because it couldn't print the detail this well because it would only be good detail on one side.
Did
Which
you?
is
Okay,
there's a lot of reasons to print things in multiple parts.
but
That's just one of them.
hold the phone. The actual Dunlop tire itself.
Mm-hmm.
You that grip.
It's
You
actually a
didn't.
rubber tire off a bicycle. I'm just kidding. I'm just
Well, I
messing.
was about to say,
It's
like, it
3D
looks real.
printed.
If you would have told me that, I would be like, oh, I believe you. Oh, good job. That looks
Yeah, it's cool.
That looks
It's
really
funny because
awesome.
I was printing it and I was pulling it off and I was gluing it up and painting it together. And my wife, is coming up and down the stairs and she's like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Why did you waste all your time printing that?" She goes, "We have bike tires in the garage." I'm like, that's fair. It might have looked cooler, but it wouldn't have said Dunlop on it. But yeah, I mean, I just like this one is the first model that truly like it blew me away. It blew me away with how like legit. I mean, I've printed tons of stuff. Billboards are pretty rad too. Those are the only ones that kind of blew me away about how simple they are and how cool they are. This was like just super well designed. And when things are well designed and they're out there on the internet, it's like it's just game changer. Because I have some cool stuff that I printed, but it's like it's not super great design. So like gluing it together is not super easy. So then you get a little bit of the like super glue off gassing. And anyway,
Well, what are you
now I'm
talking
going
about?
down a rabbit hole.
Show. We got some. Definitely got some new people here. Show that tower you built. Show the building you built. What are you talking about? That was awesome.
Oh, well, yeah, that's because I designed it. That's why it's great, Joe. Come
Well,
on.
no, but you're being hard on yourself, like this and that. It's like, what are you talking about? That thing was awesome, dude. 100%.
Oh, well, so I have. Well, this is the new version. I'll show you the old version. I think it's rattling around here somewhere.
I don't remember how these wires went. They're going on top, but if they go underneath, it touches the crown.
This is the project I'm working on. This is the old. This is version 1.0, we'll say. But that's. Is the door still in there? Yeah. That's version 1.0. And then I'm redesigning it.
He'll show it again. MB Auto. When I missed it, Love Design 3D. He'll show it again. Don't worry.
Oh, I think he just joined. I think that's why he's asking. Just joined the chat. This is the newer version. I don't have the door installed on this one yet, but it's a little bit bigger, so you got a little more room in there. It's more universal, so like the windows will wrap around. On the other one, the side walls were shorter than the front walls. Whereas on this one, they're all the same length, so you can print like this wall, if you like it. It can go to any side. I got some. Let's see. I don't know, any 3D printing nerds can probably see that there's a little bit of warpage and bubbling on the corners of this piece, this roof. There's something loose in there. That's not good. So I'm going to redesign this one to have to not be as solid. This is great. Thanks for asking me about this, because it's going to give me some inspiration to get back to work on it. I haven't touched this in a while. It frustrated me. So the roof will be more like this, where it's just like a grid. That way it prints a little bit cleaner, uses less filament, just a little bit nicer. Well, yeah, they all have channels. So those match up to these pegs. Yeah, they're pegs in the walls. These are all glued together, so they pop together. And then the idea is that, just like on the other one, I could technically take another set of walls and plop them right on top, and on top, and on top. And so I got a bunch of them designed. I just got to tweak that roof. And we'll be in business. And the goal is to eventually sell them, or at very least give them away. I think I'm going to print one, and the first one giveaway is going to be when I hit 1,000 subscribers, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, guys, let's get them there. I want to see my buddies mount in the subscriptions.
But yeah, let's see. Just got my first Racetrack Scenic package today. Nice. He makes some cool stuff. I've ordered some magnetic racing things for my old HO track. I haven't done any for this one, just because I've been trying to make everything 3D printed. But yeah, I mean, it was nuts on the HO. Like, the grandstands were so small because of the scale, and still insanely detailed. Like, just insane. Like, tweezers to put on every little part. It was nuts. But yeah, those guys that do the laser cutting, next level for sure. Oh, you're going live stream tonight? Oh, I thought you usually do Fridays, but I probably missed it. I probably missed the reason why. I think I remember you saying that last week, but very cool. Group 2, Revo slot, because you're a Revo Bedward.
Yeah.
Richard's joining us. Good morning, Richard. Thanks for hopping on with us. MB Auto Detail says four car garage next. Yes, but you're going to get a 4-car garage by putting two cars next to each other. Sorry, that's going to be the method for that one. Mostly because I don't have a printer that big. So, um, but I mean, they're designed to be, next to each other and have different heights and control towers and VIP sections and all kinds of cool stuff. So we'll get back to that for sure. I'm excited to get back working on that guy. It should be good. There's something else I was going to talk about. Oh, I started having like Joe, you and I were talking about Arduino the other day, right? And like
Yeah.
what's capable of and all kinds of cool stuff. We're gonna share some more information about that at a later date, when I actually have an Arduino working close by. But it got me thinking. I was like, oh, you know what? I could put some sensors on that thing, and like as a car drives by, I could have a little like welder spark on the inside, and like a fing, 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 like air gun, and I'm like, oh, my brain's going, my brain's going. The idea was to have one of those mini mini Arduinos in there, or in like a hidden in a tire rack or something, and have it be so you could have a remote. I don't have a remote around here, but
Oh,
like
hidden in
those
a tire
goofy,
rack. That's smart. That's smart. Hidden in a
yeah,
tire rack.
or something. Yeah, just plug it in. So then it can plug in, but it would be able to allow you to press a button and open the doors and turn on the lights. But that's down the road for sure. So, um, a track wide. Are you going to make a one track wide version of the Dunlop? This is one track wide. And I printed it. I didn't design this thing. I'm not taking credit for that. This is way cooler than what I'm capable of. I'm very straight lines. If it's got right angles in it, I'm your guy. If it's got any curves to it, nope. I don't know how to do that. But this is technically a one wide Carrera piece because it's so narrow over here. And I've seen online they have some there's like extenders that like it's like an extra step to push it up higher so that I think it's for certain cars, but people have also said that it allows for wider track. But yeah, it's basically that is the one track or 2 lane one track
Well,
for
it's for the
Carrera wide.
shoulders, right? That's why it extends. It's for the shoulders. If you have shoulders to make sure it fits
Yeah,
all
and it's
over the shoulders.
just to fit the look of the
Mhm.
bridge. But yeah, this straight piece that's basically one wide plus a little bit extra. Because technically the shoulders, if you had full Carrera shoulders, this would sit on it. And so there's these like guardrail things that go around it. Anyway, if you find it online, you'll see it. But um, let's see. Let's get caught up here. Raul says he's doing Saturdays moving forward. Badminton Friday nights. Nice. Badminton. I used to play extreme badminton in my front yard with my buddies. We would ruin all my mom's plants by diving onto them. But yeah, badminton, rad. Cool. That brings
That
me
reminds
back.
me of a story. It's so funny. The first time, so I met my buddy in high school, one of my best buds, still today, hunting partners, and everything. Best man at his wedding. And one of the first times we met, I had him come over, and he was into building model rockets. And he's like, "Oh, whatever," but I don't have the fuse. And at the time, like, so these rockets, you'd buy them. They're um, little cylinders with like,
Yeah.
he called it the fuel, but like it's basically like gunpowder or whatever, and it would just like light up and make pressure, and the thing would take off. Right, very simple. But you needed a little. There you go. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. So he didn't have a fuse, and the fuse in the plug. He goes, I have it. I have the stand, but he goes, I don't have the fuse in the plug. I'm like, oh man, like I'm trying to impress this guy. Like he's coming over for the first time. I want to make friends, like high school, whatever. And I'm like whatever, man. That's like it'll just light with fire. I'm like, let's just light a fire under it and let it take off. And he's like, you think that'll work? I'm like, I know what I'm doing. And we weren't drinking at the time, but I'm like, I was kind of like want to hold my beer moments.
Yeah.
So hold my whatever Gatorade at the time. And so we placed this in front of my parents' house in the front yard, and I'm getting like napkins and rolls, and I'm just starting this fire underneath. I figure the thing's gonna catch fire. It'll be awesome. It'll be a flame in the air. The whole rocket catches fire. Okay, it just goes up in flames, and the metal starts bending, starts pointing towards the house,
Of
and I
course.
start panicking, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this thing's gonna light! It's gonna like go into my parents' home, burn down the house." And I'm like, "Okay," I put this thing out finally with like carpets or water or whatever, and I've ruined all his work. Like he was there, he modeled it, had the stickers and everything. It was taller than that one, I remember. And his whole base. I mean, he's got to buy a whole new base, and this is the first time. And Mike, my buddy Mike, if ever he watches this, he's also like 6 foot, right? I'm 5, he's 6 foot, and I'm like, I'm about to get plummeted. I'm about to get the poop kicked out of me in front of my own house because I just
Yeah.
destroyed this guy's hobby. And I look at him, and I'm like, he just starts laughing. He's on the floor laughing. He's like, that was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, but that was the most hilarious. So I'm like, okay, I think I made a friend today, and that's
Yeah,
it. That's
instant friends for life. You
it's
go
that
through that.
defining moment, right?
That's awesome. That's
I
too
mean,
funny.
how many people make friends with? I'm gonna set your slot car track on fire. Haha, that's funny. No, that doesn't fly usually. It doesn't fly.
Yeah, I don't think it would have the same result.
Sorry, that little story popped into my
Yeah,
head.
no, that's hilarious. Mark Slot Journal says he's got to do some work on his 3D printers. You haven't used them in months. Yeah, that is like, it's close to, I mean, it's kind of one of those things when you don't use it for a while, it depending on what model you have, it's like the longer you wait to get it fired back up, the longer it takes to get it fired back up. It's like, letting a car sit. The longer the longer it sits idle, the more work it needs. But yeah, they're fun, but oh man, it's a hobby all on its own. Slaw Valley Racing's in the house. Hey Dan, how are you, bud?
How you doing, Dan?
Oh, Garth says it looks like too wide. It is not by it. Oh, I got a piece of track here. I'll show you. You could probably fit 2 under it, but if you see, like, if it's all the way here on the edge, most cars are not going to fit under that. I mean, I suppose you could, but
but I think they could contact you for you to help them out with the STL to make it too wide, right? I mean, that wouldn't be a hard modification, would it? I'm talking out of my butt right now, but
yeah, it would be a hard modification.
Really, to drag and drop and make it thick, make it.
It's not just drag and drop though, dude. It's a circle. So if you stretch it, it just would be like a squared off circle.
Yeah, but technology, right?
Yeah.
Grab the corner point and just drag and it makes it bigger.
You could scale it bigger for sure. You could scale it bigger, but then everything would be bigger. The stairs would be bigger. The stairs would be tall as a human. That's the tricky thing. But no, I mean, it's definitely like, I think with the like risers, because if you find the model online, in one of the remixes or comments or whatever, you'll see the risers that I'm talking about for that guy, and that would raise it up enough that most cars could fit under a cross. So yeah, I'm sure you could. But the thing is too, is like the other thing to keep in mind is that the real Dunlop bridge, the one at least that I've seen in pictures most often at Le Mans, there's a lot of gap between the track and the edge. And so I think that's basically what it's modeled, after. But yeah, I'm sure you could make it work for 2. And we've got all kinds of comments. I'm loving this.
Yeah, that's great, guys. Much appreciated.
Richard's got a bunch of wires under his table and Arduinos. That's like my HO track, and I'm going up there at the end of the month, and so I'll have to. It's just a spaghetti bowl of wires underneath that thing, and I had the Arduino, whatever the big one was, the Max or the Plus or the 2, I don't know what it's called, but every single pin on that thing was used for lights and sensors and all kinds of stuff. So definitely there. Those legs on the hat, they're asking about your hat, I think, because I don't think mine's mistaken for legs. What's on your hat?
Oh, my hat. Oh, sorry. My hat is my dog. My hat is my dog. Is my image reversed? I think my camera's got me in reverse, like a flipped image.
So. Maybe. It's just hard to. Yeah, I see it, but it took me a while to stare at it.
It's a bird. He's got a bird in his mouth.
I got a bird in his mouth. That's what it is.
I got Jen for last Christmas 2 sweaters with our dog on it and a bird in his mouth, and then I forget the name of the company online. I love my dog. He's sleeping behind me. I don't know if you guys can see that. He's such a good puppy. You can sort of see his pajama. Anyways, whatever. It's not about my dog, but
Dan
thank you.
says he got the Toyota GT1 red and white. Those are badass. Oh my god, I'm so jealous. I love the look of that car. Like the pointy nose. I wish I'm not technologically savvy enough to pull up an image of it right now, but it's rad. It's super cool. In the future we'll figure out how to do all those fancy things that they can do and stuff, but yeah, not today. Let's see.
Not
We got a
when
lineup of what Raul's running. The Datsun, the Ford, an Alpha, and a BMW tonight. Very cool. I'll try to hop on. I don't know what time are you going on.
well,
Usually it's in the evening, right around my daughter's bedtime, which is perfect. I can never
Raul
make it
has
to
this.
Marty's because that's always during bedtime,
Mhm.
and it's by the time I'm on there, by the time I'm done with bedtime, putting the daughter down, it's like, yeah, I can't catch up. I'll just watch it back while I'm working tomorrow.
Raul from Conquest Racing. We all know he's from Conquest Racing, but those who don't, Conquest Racing, please check him out. He's doing this really cool. I mean, you're doing this really cool. I'm talking about you in the third person. You're here, but I really like the hey, what car do you want to see run on my track? And I think that's a really cool concept. And it's a great way for other people to see. Obviously, they can't feel the way the car is, but like Raul says it, he runs it, he explains the car. Okay, this one's got this. I feel a bit more. He's got a really nice track. The Dragon's Tail is phenomenal. He's got that long space, so the cars can really open up. And he explains a little bit about the car and how it feels and whatnot. So if there's a car you were ever looking at to be like, this one or that one, ask him. He for sure has it. And
Yeah.
if he doesn't, I think he's gonna buy it. Is that correct, Raul? Raul.
Well, I love the streams too because he's always got a plan. Like, right, he's gonna race those like 4 or 5 cars, but then at the end, he'll be like, "All right, what do you guys want to see?" And then you just like throw out names. He probably has it, and he'll run it for you if he's already in that switch. But it's pretty cool. It's always a good time. It's fun to see him go around his track, and yeah, it's a good way to see a lot of cars that most of us may never see in our lifetime. But
Can I ask you
10:30 Eastern, that is perfect because that is just post bedtime, 9:30 Central.
for you guys? Yeah. Pete, let me ask you something. Have you ever changed out your brushes yet on the 132s?
Yeah.
With this, I mean, I don't know if you can see I got them
Oh,
flat
those are
out.
mangled, dude.
Those are very mangled. This is my first car, right?
They're so cheap and they're so like they come with a couple sets. If they get any kind of wonky, I replace them. But the problem I was having with my buddies when they would come over is they'd like the worst thing for the here I'm gonna do it right in front of everybody and just like commit the ultimate sin, but is when people pull the car backwards, right?
Oh, it drives me nuts.
And oh man, my buddies I was having a hard time with that the last time. I was like, oh God, please no, stop.
It's not even just for the brushes, just for the motors. It's like don't do that.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, it's not good for the motors, right? But those brushes, like, they get caught and they just get frayed and messed up. And there's one I had to replace in the middle of the night because it just in the middle of the race night. I mean, because the things they were just like just a bird's nest under there, and I was like, oh come on. And then at the end of the day, I'm like looking through I don't even know where it is, my little parts bin. I have no idea what I did with that, but that I keep all the like spare parts, the other guides and all that stuff. It's just like a little tray I got at the dollar store. And I'm popping over and I'm like replacing it real quick. And one of the guys comes over and he goes, how much are those? How many, I feel really bad. Can I buy you a set of those? Cause you had to replace them. And I'm like, no, I mean, they're like, all these I got free with the cars. And I have like a pile of them. I was like, I don't even know. Like, I won't need any for a long time. So, and then that's when I was kind of like, oh, if they get jacked up, just pull them out and put a new one in. Who cares? You buy a package of them for pretty cheap.
Well, it was the first time I noticed. Like, I replaced the motor because, like I said last Saturday, buddy came over. He raced this car and it was like just stuttering, and I'm like, what's going on? And the motor. I still have it here. It makes that weird clicking sound. No, it's not this one. It's the other one. Well, now it doesn't. Now it broke, so now it doesn't make it. It made it before, and
So
and
yeah,
I'm
I
like,
hear
okay,
it.
I have
Sure.
to change it, and then I changed the motor, and it was still stuttering, but it was like kind of like not grabbing, and I'm like, oh, do I have to break in the motor more? Okay, so I put it for half an hour. I let it run for an hour. Just put it on the track and let it run for like a day. Up the air, different speeds, broke in the motor, and I'm like, this is weird. It's still stuttering. And then I'm like, wait a minute, dummy, check the brushes,
The braids.
and sure enough, yeah, the braids. And then it was like, I'm like, at what point is it? Do you like? Is it necessary to? I mean, I guess you change it whenever you want, but I mean, I'm a guy who likes to run things to the last minute. Even though, like you said, I have a pile of these things. I mean, I could just change it and not look back. But I feel that if the car can still, once you put it on the track, if it's still popping up a little bit, that the wheels aren't touching, you still got braid to go, you know. But I'm probably gonna clean these up a bit with some braid cleaner, and then
Yeah, I do it more.
I don't want to change my baby. The brushes, just
Yeah, I
change them.
do it more. Well, the other thing I do replace them as soon as I get it like a little nasty. But also the other thing is like if you just sometimes if you straighten them out, like tug on them and pull it out of the car and really like tug on them, you
Mm.
can like get them to straighten back out to really long. And then I basically install them reverse because right, you'll wear one side of those braids, and then they'll get like a more copper tone to them. And then yeah,
Right. There you go, man.
you can do it like super super stingy, you know, cash
Here
saver
I
and just
here
like
I
flip it
am.
over. It's like use both sides of the toilet paper.
Uh,
You know,
here here I am
desperate
making
times
videos
call for
about like
desperate measures.
coming from a seasoned camper. I get it. I get you.
Yeah, right. That's both sides of the leaf.
You know, here I am making videos about like the next thing you got to buy for sure, 100%. I know what I'm talking about. Like, how do you change braids on the car?
How often do you do this? I should probably do it.
It's like, but I don't want to throw away stuff. I'm stingy about that. All right,
Yeah, I'm the same.
makes sense.
Well, I am the same way with some things. With them, my wife also gives me a hard time. I'm like, I don't know, let's just buy a new one.
Yeah,
I don't want to
exactly.
fix it. Let's just buy a new one. But that's terrible too. But looks like Pistol Pete's picking up a couple of cars, 2 Revo C5 Corvettes, and a 24-hour Daytona car. Very cool.
So, yeah, that brings me to we were talking about this before and analog and whatnot and trying to switch over. And I'm looking forward to my trip to Toronto to meet up with Raul and hopefully Massimo as well. But I'm thinking like if ever I'm gonna actually buy anything analog or other digital cars besides Carrera, I need to know that they can be chipped and it has to be plug and play. I know that you've got to go through a little process now, and I thought about it, and I'm like, I need to know. I need to know if there's a list out there, or if any new Revo slot cars are easily like which cars are easily chipped that have a digital chip for Carrera. Does anybody know? Because like that would be the only manufacturer I would consider buying. I would buy the car and then I would buy the chip with it. Like that's it. Like that's my route. I'm staying in a box. I know I'm pigeonholing myself. I think I was talking about that with Mark yesterday as well.
Yeah, we were talking about it too.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about it limiting your options, but with that aside, Scalextric's right. It's a Carson chip. You pop the little door out, you pop it back in. That's as plug and play as you can get. Is a Scalextric's. I know that for sure.
Well, maybe I'll just stick to the Scalextrics then. I mean, I don't know. Like maybe that's
which I mean, it basically doubles your options from Carrera only. So that opens the door quite a bit. Yeah, Conquest is saying Pioneer, Scalextric, Slotted, Polycar all have easy installed chips. That's true.
okay.
But what I will say is that I bought this Slotted and I bought the chip on the recommendation, which is like it's on everywhere. It says like, yeah, plug and play. It's got the little plugs, but this does not have the plugs on the inside. It's just hardwired. Not the end of the world, right? I was planning on doing it anyway. So I'm going to save this because I know I'll get another Slotted. I have an extra one of these. Also on Raul's recommendation, the FT Slot Technic T slot Technique. I'm
That's
just gonna
French
pop
for
this guy in.
technique.
Technique.
It's technique. You have to say it with the accent. Technique. I don't know. I don't know if they're French. It's funny. It's just
No, I think it's German.
I think
Because
I'm the only one who gets that
half the
joke.
instructions are in German, or at least what I
I
think is German. I don't know.
apologize.
But it's cool. I mean, it is. This is what I'm going to use on this car. Also because it has all the plugs ready to go for lights, and I really want to put lights on this guy. I'm sure you can do it on the scale or on this slotted chip, because there's little plugs on there, but the plugs do not come with it, and got to draw the line somewhere. But this one, that one's getting a Technic chip, slot Technic chip. This one's getting a slot Technic chip. Now I've done the German chip. Yep, guessed right. Yeah, so that's this week. Next week, I really wanted to do it while we're here on the stream, but then I was like, how am I going to get the soldering iron down here? It's probably a terrible idea to do it, working with a hot soldering iron while I'm trying to talk to you guys and not paying attention, burn my hand and burn down the whole basement. So decided not to do it today, but I'm really anxious to get those things on my track. So I'm excited, but yeah. It's
MB Auto is asking if getting an Evolution car, are all the chips the same for Carrera? I believe Carrera, I know Carrera makes their replacement chips. Would the replacement chip fit in a Evolution? Does anybody know?
Yeah, so I mean that's part of the concept, is that they're easily converted, right? But yeah, I don't know if they're plug and play per se. It actually, depends on which one, but like this guy I have is, that's an Evolution, not chipped. And that's what I initially bought that slot Technic chip for, is to put it in this guy. But there's not. I mean, this is obviously a weird one because it's an F1 and it's not a normal shaped car. But yeah, there's easy conversion kits, like easy chips to I don't know if they're plug and play, but they're dang close if they're not. And it also depends on how old that Evolution car is. If it's a brand new one, then yeah, it's gonna plug and play. If it's like this one, I don't know why this one's not plug and play, because those chips have been around for a while, but it doesn't really matter. I can solder. I know how to do that. I have more fun doing that anyway. And also I like the idea that we talked about this yesterday. The slotted chip, the sensor is fixed to the PCB board, right? So the PCB board has to be attached to the chassis in the perfect right spot. I know that there are some slotted chassis that have the spot where the clip goes in and it puts it right in the right spot, hole already drilled. This one doesn't have that. So the cool thing about this other chip is that there's the PCB board, right? And I'm sure I'll do more about this on the actual video. But then the sensor, that little diode that's, going down and getting the signal from the track or sending the signal to the track, is loose. It's a wire. So this chip can be anywhere, and then this can reach around and put it exactly where I need it. So that was another reason why I'm using that one. Like I said, I'm saving that slotted one because I'm sure I'll get something that will just like pop in and be good to go, but I'm going to save it for that. I thought about desoldering the plugs and taking it in, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's not worth it for me. So.
Right on.
Carrera makes F1 chips. I've looked at those F1. I thought I did. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't looking at the right one, but I'm in no rush to get that one to go because I got to design and 3D print a front wing. I bought this at a antique mall, and it didn't have the wing on it. It was like $7 or something, so I couldn't say no. I was like, I gotta get it. And so now every time we go to that antique mall, I go back to the same booth, hoping he's gonna have more. No, hasn't had any more since. Like that was the one time. And I'm probably one of the only people that goes through that antique mall that even knows what that thing was. But yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned wings. I posted that video. You think I would have remembered who's it from? It's from obviously a slot car channel about how he rubberized his back wings for 124 and 132 cars, and it was pretty ingenious. Takes a thin piece of rubber. He explains it in the video. He doesn't talk. It's just like the writings underneath.
Yeah.
and I kind of skimmed through it pretty quick. And basically, like these cars, he's like, you just cut it out, you take out that piece, you trace it onto the rubber, you put it on, and then he uses this. He says specifically which glue he uses, and the thing becomes all rubbery. I mean, it's still the plastic, it's still your wing, but at least it's on a rubber holders, I guess, the rubber underwings, I guess. And I was like,
Weird.
that's pretty, now depending on how fast you're going, like definitely, I thought that was pretty ingenious. I was like, hey, that's great, and I'll put
It'll
the
look
the
cooler
link
than when I
in
just
the video.
like take them off so they don't break.
There's that. There's that.
That's my solution. Just take them off, put them in a box somewhere, never to be seen again.
It kills me to take them off. It really kills me to take them off. I just like my Porsches. They're still on until they break off, and that'll be that. Like it bothers me that.
That's fair. I should just leave them
Mm.
on, and when they break, glue them on, and when they break again, glue them on, and
Because your thought process was probably my thought process was like, oh, when I put them away and I put them on the shelf and I'm not using them, I'll put the wing back on so I can display them as models. That's not me. That's not going to happen. My track is to play.
I want them to be ready for a photo op in the future.
Exactly.
It's like,
It's
that's not
not
going to happen.
I don't even know. It would take me a while. Here, they're all here. Oops. As I spoke, they're all in here. Now I got to go through
that's
them.
it's almost exactly how I have mine. I don't know what I did with that dang thing, but yeah, I've got the guides, the replacement guides, the replacement braids, and then one little tray has the wings, and then one little tray has like all the antenna and the mirrors. It's like the mirrors I did and the antenna, I decided I do want to take those off because sometimes those go flying off and you can't find them, and then you find them again when something runs over it and like it gets caught up in something. You're like, oh, that's not good. But yeah, okay. So Mr. Carrera, Raul is saying if you install quick connectors to slot Technic chipping and then swap it in between cars. I get that, but they're not. I mean, they're not cheap, but they're not super expensive. It's worth it to me to just have this car chipped. But I get what you're saying. Is putting a set of plugs on there would make it easy to take out and switch it back to analog in the future, but I don't have any plans to do that, so I don't know. We'll see. Oxygen chips are the hardest for me. Yeah, I've seen some wild stuff with that, mostly on the Pete's other Pete's coverage of the 24 hours. That's the only time I've really seen oxygen. I mean, it's cool and it's rad. But yeah, it's you're saying this Slata is from 2008? Is it? Because the car is 2010. It says it's 2000 somewhere in there. It says 2000.
It's a Mandela effect. Time machines, bro. They exist.
So I thought the same thing because maybe I just got a weird one, or maybe it's not. No, it's the right car in there. It was a swap meet. It's only because I'm pulling a fast one on me. The mold
Guys in
is
there
from
painting the
2008.
cars.
I got
painting
it.
the cars.
I got it. The mold is from 2008. Okay. Dan thinks the cars look better without the wings. Some do. I'm not going to argue with you there. Some do.
When you're
I don't
racing,
think all of them do.
When you're racing, you don't notice. It's literally when they're still, or if you're gonna do the slow motion shots, or you're gonna do whatnot. That's when you're racing. There's no one saying like, "Oh, I would have enjoyed that race more with wings on the car." We're nitpicking, right?
I say that every time, Joe. I don't know what you're talking about. Every time. Dang, I forgot to put the wings back on again. Pistol piece says you break and then you glue, and you repeat. Breaking.
Yeah, until the pieces break off inside the slots themselves, and then you get.
That's what a vacuum cleaner's for.
No. I mean, in the back of the car, and now I got to drill that out.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. There's some needle twice.
But in retrospect, I think I should have not used super glue. That was probably my first newbie mistake, to be like, oh, I'll just super glue it back on, and it'll never come off again. I know this piece here in this car is super glued for the R8s. This came off one too many times. Chassis cracked. Where is it on Jen's car? It's killed me right here. Super glue. This in the Ferrari. When we got this thing, we raced the heck out of these cars. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I'll glue them on. I've got one that's got a broken tab inside of it. I don't even remember. I think it's a BMW. But yeah, Garce's parts is parts.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Richard says when the kids leave, you gotta find all the parts. That's for sure, dude. If my daughter or my nieces are over here racing, yeah, there are no loose parts anywhere near. And half the buildings are taken off the track because it's all fair game.
I
They're
usually know
all
parts
gonna
are
get
missing.
wrecked.
Yeah, I usually figure out parts are missing when the cars start going around the track and you start hearing this funny noise and you're like, why is the car making that noise? You lift up the car, you're like, no, it's fine. You put it back on the track, still makes the noise. And then you're like, wait a minute. And then you check and all the pieces are in the slot and it's dragging that mirror or antenna.
It's collected them all.
Yeah. Normally I don't care, but because of the switch lanes, that's what I worry about. That's what,
Yeah,
the,
we can
the
jam
worst
in
thing that
there
can
and
actually
go
happen
flying. Yeah.
is that, right? And that brings me to thinking about cleaning the track.
Yeah.
Did we find a new
Oh
solution?
yeah. What did I do with that thing?
I was
I
pretty
tossed it
impressed.
somewhere in a panicked clean this morning.
Oh, sorry.
There it is.
I'm making you do your exercise for the day, bro.
Yeah. 15 steps from here to the other side of the room is all the exercise I'm getting today. I am in trouble. Yeah, so I was doing a bunch of research, right? We've been, it's 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I don't know, a while ago, about a month maybe. I switched all my tires to silicone, and I got super frustrated with it over the last couple weeks and I wasn't racing nearly as much because it just felt like my track was always dirty, and it would run like 2 or 3 laps, and I had to clean the damn tires, and then 2 or 3 laps, and then clean the tires, and then 2 or 3 laps, clean the tires, and it's driving me nuts. And so I tried microfiber cloths. I tried the silicone lint roller, which was good, and it's all picking up, and I can see it. But it's still like, even after I do it meticulously and I'm cleaning out the inside of the slot and I'm doing all kinds of crazy stuff, I'm still having to clean the tires all the time. And so I dug down. Yeah, Rose told me, he warned me. He did. But so I started like going down the rabbit hole of like slot forum and looking on Reddit and trying to just like find any solution that was different than what I'd already tried. And one that came up was tack cloth. And so it's used for like finishing like paint projects, like woodworking projects, or I know I've heard of people using it when they're doing paint on cars and that sort of thing. Tack cloth. Richard said it. He beat me to it. He uses tack cloth. Yeah, dude.
This is the first time I'm hearing about this, so I'm like all ears.
So it's this. I mean, I don't know if they're all like this. I've used one before, long time ago. That's a whole nother story. That's another lifetime. But it's weird, sticky, like this weird, sticky, waxy kind of stuff that's on cheesecloth, basically. I wear a glove on it because otherwise it's all over my hands. So I wear like a rubber glove. And the trick is I'm just dragging it over the track nice and soft, like not rubbing, because apparently I've heard that if you rub too hard, if you try to scrub or use it like you would a normal, dusting cloth or anything like that, it'll leave a residue down, and then you'll ruin connectivity, and you'll have to clean it with rubbing alcohol or lighter fluid or whatever. And so, but it's working, and it's crazy. Like my normal routine before silicones is like vacuum and then microfiber cloth and then Swiffer. And so I was switching to, I was doing the same thing, except instead of the Swiffer, I would just do microfiber cloth and then that lint roller. So with this, I don't vacuum anymore. I just use the microfiber cloth to get like the big stuff. If I see big chunks, obviously I'm gonna vacuum them up instead of anything else. But then just rub this on it, and it's nuts. Because as soon as I'm doing everything, and like the first time I did the lint roller, got a bunch of stuff up. I can tell that there's stuff on there, and then I put this on it, and it was filthy. I was like, how can it be that filthy? But yeah, it's pretty wild. And it works. And now I can get 15 laps in. I'm also doing. I told you I was at the dollar store, and I got a little container and a sponge, and got the sponge just a little bit wet, and so I'm wiping it off on that instead of the just because it's faster and it's easier for me than doing it
Yeah,
on the
that
lint
roller.
roller.
Yeah,
So that's helping too. But I'm getting there. But I
I
was
think
almost
it
to the
helps.
point where I was like, I'm done with silicones. I'm going back.
But I think what helps, because I mean, like I've never had that issue with my track down here. I mean, I've got the fake grass, and this is carpet here, and I vacuumed this maybe a couple times. I've done a deep clean maybe once or twice since I've gotten the track. But I mean, I've got my Swiffer, my microfiber like long thing there that just like a dust feather
Yeah.
duster, and I just go over it whenever someone comes over for a night, for a good race night or whatnot, or if I'm doing time trials. I don't have that much dust. I mean, the cars just sometimes I just clean the car tires and I'm good to go. And we never had that much issue. You see the cars slipping out after 50, 100 laps, whatever, and you're like, oh, car's running out. It's like okay. And I put the double sided tape into the pit lane. I got the 3M.
I saw
Um,
that on your video. I was going to ask about it.
yeah, it just like, of course, now
And
it's
it
not
cleans them
anymore.
when they go into the pits.
Yeah, that has to be changed out like after every race because like just the dust in that is in the air,
Yeah.
it'll just pick it up and they're completely done. But of course, now that I want to show you, it's not in my kit, right? It's the yellow, it's the 3M, the yellow one, double-sided tape, very thin.
Yeah.
And what's really nice is that to measure it, the actual thickness of it, I gotta show you. I gotta do this. You put it down on the track, and it's the perfect spacing. So you put one slice like this, and then like a little bit, and that's what guides me to know how straight I am. And that usually one space of tape, so you don't have to put two lines of tape, just one actually gives you the good spacing of where the in general most cars tires are. And I've never had
Very
an
cool.
issue that way. I mean, I could just turn the camera on and show you at this point.
Well, I'm going to get caught up here. Silicone tires, the types of silicone tires I'm using are Quick Flicks. Yeah, Pistol Pete uses tack cloths. Conquest likes rubber on the track. I'm still not entirely convinced on silicones, mostly because this other new car I got, no silicones for it, and so I don't want to run the rubber. You know, I could if I was running urethanes, I could just run these with stock tires and not worry about it. But yeah, I don't know. Sock Daddy says 25 laps before he has to wipe down the track. See, that drives me nuts. I couldn't go nearly as fast with stock tires, but I only had to clean the track like once a night. Yeah, I got you. Okay,
Yeah,
double sided.
Scotch, super thin. I mean, this came in a pack of 3. I still haven't used one up fully completely.
Yeah.
But you can
Okay,
use
cool.
other ones. I mean, there's better tape out there. There's like more industrial, very, very, very thin. We got some at work. I'm gonna try it out, and you can literally. I think that would be. It's more tacky than this stuff. This is great for like a couple races, whatever. But I mean,
It's funny because Richard and I think a lot of guys are chiming in. Is that you know, yours is probably your track is probably staying clean because you got a nice finished basement, and mine is
yeah,
definitely not. We've talked about that. Like there's some gaps in my floor that I can see through almost.
yeah. I have floating ceiling. I was pretty fortunate when we bought the house. It was already half finished,
Yeah,
but it
that's
was carpet
awesome.
on the floors, and I got rid of the carpet on the floors, and I put in floating floors. So that I know that's I know that's helping. There is dust. Like, don't get me wrong, there is dust, but definitely finished basements.
One thing, Dan, I know if you're trying to get that rubber off, I've heard lighter fluid, like actual lighter fluid, like Rossignol, the fluid that goes in like a Zippo lighter, will take it off. Yeah, Raul says his basement isn't that nice either. Yeah, he's more in my territory where we got poles and wires and furnaces and all kinds of
Yeah,
stuff
but those
everywhere.
those track setups are pretty awesome because you're going through like walls and like different sections
It's true.
or beams, and it's like, what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah, I got the VW Bug. There's a whole story about it. So that's on my video. That is, like 20 minutes. It's gonna come out. I tell a little story about the bug and why I have Yeah, why I love a VW Bug. Um, little hint: I drove one for a while. But that one super cool. So that one's close to my heart. I wasn't sure about the brand. I don't know. I had never seen them before. I've seen Revel like diecast cars and like model kits like growing up, but it's super cool. Yeah, I know I've seen as soon as I saw this one, I was like, I've seen this before, but it was bright yellow, and sure enough, that was your that was your M&M that like the the quiz that you had a while back. I remember that, Raul. Um, Super tires on Carrera, I like them the best. Super tires are silicones, I think, right? They're another silicone brand. I think that's what Marty was talking about. I heard him say super tire sometime, so I think I might give that a
Where are
shot.
you guys getting super tires from? The only reason I buy Quick Slicks was because that was the first silicone tires that I was introduced to. They were super easy, super friendly. They answered all my questions, so I had no real reason to look elsewhere. I got a call from Slot Car Corner. This was my first introduction to anything hobby, really. My first interaction with anybody in the hobby, um, besides a few comments in a chat in a YouTube chat. I get this call from a United States number, and I'm like, this is a it's a scam. It's a scam call and whatever. So I almost flushed it, but I'm like, answered. I'm like, hello, and he's like, hey, this is Slot Car Corner, and I forget who picked up the phone. I apologize. Um, and he's like, yeah, I'm just answering your email and blah blah blah. And I'm like, what? You're answering my email? It's like, yeah, it's easier to explain to you because at the time it was for the expo. The tires weren't like they didn't have that
Yeah,
tire. And they're like, oh, and he explained, Carrera does that thing where they went from 16 millimeters to 17 millimeter wheels, and it's like one of those, why are you doing that? Like we have to make a whole new
yeah,
mold for that, and it costs money. And I'm like, oh, okay, like this is the best customer service I've ever received
they're good guys.
anywhere in life. He's explaining to me why he's sorry he doesn't have the tires that we need. It's easier to explain over the phone, so I'm going to call you. So to me, it's like they have a customer for life. Like that's
Yeah, it's
just
pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
you
And
know
their
what
website, I mean, their website's nice. It's really easy to find which tires. Like I printed off the PDF so I can look at it, but it is I yeah, it's just a bump. I mean, we were talking about that. Is it like my biggest thing is it like this car, I emailed them and said like, hey, listen, I took the measurements like on their little worksheet thing. I sent it over to him. He's like, oh, we don't have this. It's just one with a crown. And so I was like, all right, I'll try it. Or I'm going to try it. I haven't ordered it yet. I don't know why I haven't ordered it yet. Should probably do that today. But my thought is it with silicones, I have to switch everything to silicones to race. And there's a couple of cars that I know will never get tires. Like this one, they're probably never going to make silicones for. My Mario Kart guys, they're never going to make silicone tires for that. And so it's just a little. That's why it's tempting to switch to urethanes. But like you and I have talked about, the whole reason why
no,
I switched to silicones is that you
no,
don't have to true them.
that was
But
my
I
day
think
one.
that's just a theory because I'm looking. I mean, and I get it. I don't need to true the. I mean, truing the silicone tires is a nightmare, and I know that, and I've watched it happen, and it looks awful. But you won't be able to see on this video. But these are less true and less round and less perfect contact patch than the stock tires were. So it's really just the material that is causing the grip. And so they are still chattering quite a bit on these tires. And I know that if I had silicones and they were on there and they were trued on a real tire truing machine and not just, some sandpaper glued down my track, that they would probably run smoother, they would run quieter, they would be nicer, and then it wouldn't matter. I could just throw this on the track, put a chip in it, throw it on the track and not worry about
But okay, so let's let's weigh these options now, right? These are always fun. One, you know, also understanding that I'm coming to this because I don't want you to switch because I'm a silicone for life. I say that now, but you're gonna spend, knowing you can either spend the $300 on a proper truer or the $6 on a silicone car, silicone tires. And how many cars do you actually have that are on rubber or urethane? Your Mario Kart, great. So you're racing with your daughter, your buddies. I'm just asking, right? That one race you're gonna do with the rubber tires, they'll put the rubber on the track. Great. Spend what? The extra 10 minutes, 20 minutes, clean your track, get all that rubber out. The silicone will do the rest of it, and you'll race. And then you'll end your day without spending any money. All you're spending is a bit of time cleaning that track a little bit more. I understand guys who have massive tracks, you don't want to do that. Fine, you stick with rubber. It makes sense. Fine. Just you get that perfect racing speed, no problem. Or you switch to rubber and you spend the $300 once on a tire truer that's really good, unless anybody knows anything of less than $300 for a decent tire truer, and all that money you just spent on silicone goes out the window.
Pistol Pete says 189 for a CG
American,
tire
so
tour.
yeah. Sorry, I'm converting Canadian. Sorry, guys.
He's expensive Canadian. Okay. Texan. Mario Kart Dragon. Yoshi? Yeah, Yoshi fits under the bridge. I was gonna print the risers if he didn't. But he does the trucksters do, or at least it's not really a truckster, it's just the cleaning truck, but it fits.
The wreckers.
Yeah. Well, that's a cleaning one. I mean, I guess technically it's a wrecker too, but yeah, you only have to buy the truer once. I get that. You will on urethanes when you come to. Oh, you're running urethanes when you go to Raoul's. Like it or not.
Well, I'm banging up your cars, so I mean that's fine with me.
Chewing urethanes is easy, Dan says. Well, I get it with the right tools. I just don't want to buy that tool because that tool is worth a couple of slot cars.
It's so trivial. Like
but it's also like
I'm sure.
I also understand.
We'd be like, once we start doing it, we'd be like, oh, what were we? Oh man, this is so dumb. Like I get it. You just a couple seconds.
Yeah, and it's kind of silly. It's kind of silly too, because I think about the fact that like right when I switched, I have 8 career cars that I was switching to 2 silicones when I made the leap. Right, so $8 times whatever 6. It wasn't super inexpensive. Now, right, I only had to spend. We talked about this yesterday too. I only had to spend $6 per car going forward to get those tires.
And that's it. You never have to change them again. Like that's probably for life.
Well, I understand, but at 189, what I was just say $200, about twice as much as what I spent on those silicones. I could have a tire truer that technically I could have just trued the stock tires and just been fine. And then as those crap out and like do the career thing and get hard and wonky, which I didn't believe that until I bought.
And then you're gonna spend more money on tires anyway.
Yeah, but I know they're gonna be true, and I can use any kind of tire on my track, and I don't gotta clean it every 25 laps. I know.
Look, it's 10 o'clock. We're done.
Yeah, you don't like what I'm saying. All right, you're cutting me off. I see.
No, but okay. So let's throw this into the mix as well. Silicone, unless someone has some data out there that will correct me on this, but silicone are the stickiest tires, and when they're running on a clean track, will give you the best grip. And so now we can go to the debate of like, well, if the car doesn't fishtail too much, then that's kind of controlling the car. There's less fun, fine. But if you're in it for the speed and you're in it for the better times, silicone is the way to go. And for me, that was enough. Those pros and cons of I'm gonna have the fastest cars and my track, and we spoke about this yesterday, why I don't have that many curves, because I do lose a lot of real estate on this table. My track was an extension of the original set, but I like a lot of straights. I like speed. I want to see the cars whip around. I want to be able to control that speed. That's just me. That's my personal enjoyment out of the track at this moment. So silicones just made sense for me, and don't want to sit there truing and like all the cars out and blah 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 blah, and I gotta do these tires. I know it takes 30 seconds. I know, guys. I'm being a baby, 100%.
Well, my thing is, it's a little bit of like, I think it's like a culmination. This is great. We're having a great conversation. I'm digging this, guys. there's like all kinds of chat going. You guys are all fired up this morning. I'm loving it. But
I think I'm pissing off a lot of people.
no, I don't think so. I think that everybody has their opinion, right? Everybody
Yeah.
does, and it's that's what's great about this group is nobody's gonna be
Everyone has their
upset.
experiences. It's not just opinions;
Upset
it's their
about anything else.
experiences.
But it's the other thing too is that like in your basement, yes, I
Pure
mean I
vodka.
have
Pure vodka.
I do not disagree that silicone provide the best grip, but there is a cost. There's a cost to either, right? Stock tires, urethanes are not going to have as much grip as silicone. But in a basement like mine, or like many other slot racers who are not finished, who are going to get dusty track and have to clean it after every 15 to 20 laps, that trade-off is not worth it for me. If I have to turn down the speed by 2 notches, done. I don't care. Like that's all right to me.
But then,
and I do love gadgets.
okay, so then think of it this way. I know you love gadgets. I love
So
gadgets.
a tire tour is like, ooh, that's another toy I can play with.
Do I have to call your wife? I'm gonna call your wife and tell her you're thinking of spending too much money. And then, but
You
look
do
at it
that,
this
we'll
way.
never talk again. We will no longer be friends, Joe. What happens in this chat stays in this chat. That's why I like she doesn't watch my channel.
Oh man. But what about this? What about I think this kind of like in the slice of pie where this kind of goes. I know there's a special word for that. I was all scientific last chat. I'm not scientific at all today. What about people are like, oh, you lose the grip on the silicone. True, but then think of it as like, well, you can stop the race to change your tires. It forces you to do a race concept where it's like, oh, okay, sometimes we do it because Jen and I, we race 200 lap races. So we're saying, okay, when do we do a tire change? There'll be house ruling at as soon as the clock says, whatever, half the race, when everyone agrees, or the next crash after 200 laps or whatever, we can change the tires. So we stop, we clean our tires. We call that a tire change. Or we do it. Okay, you have to come into the pit. We both come into the pit, clean the tires, and then we go. So there's
It
that.
is cool.
And,
I mean, that is a cool concept to like work it into the simulation of a race. Is that yes, your tires go off, right? In a race, your tires go off.
And guys don't.
And I get that, but it doesn't change the fact that I don't want to clean my track 3 times in the middle of a race night. Like if I'm racing with the guys for like 4 hours, I don't want to have to clean the track every half an hour.
But think of it this way. The way those cars
or whatever
get squirrely would be the same way. I'm gonna get so flamed for this. Would be the same way if the cars would be running if there was no magnets in them.
Yeah, I'm not taking that bait. I'm not having that conversation. But I'm a magnet guy. I don't care.
This is what I justify in my head. I'm like, oh, it's like my car doesn't have magnets in it. I'm racing just like everybody else.
Yeah, just like I want to be able to race. Like the whole idea is that like right now, yeah. Okay, we're done. We're good. Great last episode. Thanks. No, it's yeah, it's just it's just I want to be able to like I want to be able to come down, run a Swiffer over the track, do a few laps, move on, be done.
Mm-hmm.
Like race. I will race more often if I can do that. But I got to spend some money, and that money was earmarked for finishing my table.
When you come to Toronto, I will sort you out. Yeah, thanks.
Sort you out. Yeah.
What do you mean you just lost my argument? What argument? What did I lose?
Just
hey, no wife needed to know.
Just lost the argument. I don't know how or what point that was said, but thank you. I think I win. I think that's what that means. I win. Episode over. We're good. It's just I think it's like right. It's different strokes. I'm really surprised that Marty in his old house, like it's very clearly an old like stone basement.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful work.
I'm really surprised that he runs. I mean, I know he has to, so he can do the club races. But
he runs.
I never hear him complain about cleaning his track. Maybe I'm just being a baby. And
his track is very easy to get to. It's not spaghetti at all, right? There's no. How many overlaps does he have? 1.
That's true, and he doesn't have.
And when you have a tool like
walls
this,
on most of it, that's fair.
Another great bonus that I have is that the central vac. I have central vac in my home. It's right there. So I mean, just plug it. I mean, any vacuum cleaner you could buy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a like I'm not a that's not a great advantage. But these things, these microfiber little dingly dangly things are great. You just bend them the way you want. I've shown this before. Like this is such a time saver. And then the only thing you really gotta with the vacuum is to go in the little in the slots themselves. That's the thing that I think needs cleaning the most.
Raul says Marty has 4 tire cleaning stations. I thought maybe, and I'm thinking about making one. Just doing some jump. I'm gonna make my own jumper cables. I'm not spending that money, but just put a spare piece of track right next to it, so you just pop it on there and do it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try. I'm gonna. Well, the thing that upsets me the most is that like right before we were having this conversation.
Yeah, man.
Not today, but earlier this week when we were having the conversation about silicones and urethanes. One of the other things I picked up that spot me was this bag of tires, and like a moron,
they're not silicone.
Well, I know they're not. Oh, got me. No, I dumped all of my stock tires into this bag, so they're all mixed up. So yeah, there's no going back to stocks on those. I mean, I'm sure I could find them.
But you bought those tires just to make like scenery, right?
Scenery, yeah. And then I took mine because I had this stack that I've been sitting around on my desk, and I'm like, now I got a place for it. And dumped it in there, and then like immediately I was like, oh, probably should have waited another few weeks before I did that. But oh well. What are you gonna do,
bro? You're one of us. You stay away from rubber. Stay away from rubber.
I'm telling you, man. Tire Truer's on the way.
Don't do it. Don't leave me. Don't leave me.
I'm just not convinced that these are. I get it at the grip, but like I can see that like the tire goes like this and then whoop. I can see.
Yeah, and that's why I had to do a video on like the reasons why you're not going to run silicone tires, that they're not 100% flat, and if that bothers you and if it makes noise, then yeah, for sure. Like it's.
And as even as I turn it, I can visually see that they're not. They're out of round. And I suppose the grip of the silicone overcomes that.
I've never had an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, you could sand down the hub.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I want to go that far. Plus, most of them, the hub is below the profile of the chassis, so I'd have to take the axle off to do it on a Carrera car, which means I would have to put it on a Tire Truer anyway.
But then I'd be okay with you buying that for the hubs only, right?
Well, I'm sure I'll try that first. Yeah, I've seen the video on Marty's Tire Truers, not Tire Truers, tire cleaning stations. He uses the Brillo pad. That's a good idea. I didn't think about that. With just some simple green. I don't know. Maybe that'll do the trick. I just don't like. I like being able to do. Like the race is over. We did a 30-lap race. Reset the cars. Go again. I don't want to have to clean 8 car tires.
Yeah, but you got to clean your rubber tires anyway. Even after a race, you have to clean rubber tires.
Oh, hell no, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No,
regardless.
No. Stock tires, no.
You don't?
They do not collect nearly as much dust as the silicone does. Those can go 100 easily.
Oh, but I still thought it was common practice, regardless if you had rubber or silicone, that like, if you still want grip, you just clean them from just regular dust. And
no, I mean, I check them like,
if you do the lick, you just lick your.
So I check them like 2 or 3 times a night, and be like, oh yeah, that one looks dirty. Let's run it over the lint roller.
Stoner move.
That's a stoner move. What's a stoner move?
Buying all those tires. I don't know.
Oh, buying the tires because I needed them, or because I dumped my other tires in there.
Oh yeah, probably both.
It's only $2 for all these tires. I'm gonna do something. So I guess
I mean, in the spirit of talking about magnets and whatnot, I thought I had this really great idea of adding more magnets to the car. Right? You're talking about grip and whatnot. So I was saying we're having this discussion, and I'm like, well, I have this great idea. I'm just gonna add more magnets to the car and find a proper balance, and that way they'll be really sticky. And that way, silicone weight magnet. And then you had that really nice, that interesting story you told me about your HO scale car. And then I'm like, oh, I don't want to stress out the motors, but there's got to be a fine way to to go max mag on these cars without burning out the motor, right?
I just don't. I don't think it's. Yeah. I mean, I
Don't
think
think it's
I
a good
think
idea.
everybody's probably in agreement. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's going to help you. I think it would be a much larger market. I think that would be a much bigger thing that we would have heard about.
Well, I think people just enjoy the like you said, the squirrely way the car drives, so you actually feel it and you handle it more, and you feel like you're more in control of the car versus a car that's stuck on a track and you're just going start stop start stop. That I understand. But for me, it's more like I kind of wanted that from the get go, and I want to still experience that with being able to switch lanes properly and really focus on I'm driving and switching and fueling up gas at the right time. Like I want to just worry about that strategy
So
and
turn it
less
down.
about the car slipping
Turn
out.
the power down. That's what I did. I
Yeah, I
turned the
know.
power all the way down
Yeah.
till it doesn't slide out. I don't think adding more magnets will accomplish that. I think you'll put more wear and tear on that motor because right, if it has more downforce, that means that motor has to work harder to get it moving when it's stopped. Once it has inertia, it's a little bit easier, but you're still gonna, like you said, there's more drag, more magnetic downforce, which that motor has to overcome, which it's not designed to do. Like I was telling you with my HO cars, Dan's gonna help me with this because I can never remember the dang name of these cars that I always used to drive. But I had they were the NASCAR ones. I think they were AFX. They're I don't know. I loved them. But uh, anyway, they sold them in a 2-pack. You could also buy the single pack or the like white body. Anyway, those things you can replace the magnets, and I told you I did,
Mhm.
and they stuck to the track. But they also basically got so hot that the bodies would almost melt because that motor was working so hard.
Yeah.
I just don't think, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. But
Well, it's because I
um,
had to do it on this guy. Because when I got this guy, he was just flying all over the place. Like every time I switched tracks, he was just jumping and bumping. And I had him open before, but all I did was in the front magnet, I added. I mean, they're here. You see them all the time. Every time I'm working on my cars, these guys,
yeah,
right? I got these from K&M, K&J Magnetics from the States. So I paid an arm and a leg for these.
but
Not
they're
because
just like
they're
regular magnets. They're not slot car magnets, right?
well, they're the same size for the slot car magnets. I got that from
Right, but they're not marketed as slot cars. What I'm saying.
no, no, but they're the same
No, I
thing
get it. I guess what I'm saying is, I
from
think
slot
if it
rods.
was a thing, and it was like it gave improvement without hurting the cars, somebody would have marketed them as slot car magnets. Somebody would be selling those like crazy, just like they are silicone tires and urethane tires and lead weights and guides and chips and all that stuff. But
Carrera doesn't have replacement magnets. I guess
I'm
not.
sure
Eh?
they have replacements, but they were like you're not looking for a replacement. You're looking for a more powerful magnet or additional magnets. Like they aren't marketed as
Yeah,
that.
additional magnets to stack because when you stack magnets, the force is greater. So then I had to do some research on like, well, what do I want to do? I want it side by side, or do I want to stack it one on top of each other? And I figured the more area I had, and it was easy enough for this guy to just, the magnets here, I just super glued it right next to it there, and that was it. It seemed to have solved the problem, putting a bit more weight in the car and less. I like the way it performs, but whatever, we'll see.
Yeah,
We will see.
that's basically what they're all saying is add some weight. Try some weight.
Yeah,
But he
that's what.
does say put a magnet in the middle of the rear diffuser. Oh yeah, because you can. There's a anyway. There's a gap between the diffuser, so you can just pop it right on top of there. Just slide it right in
I don't want
there.
to
See?
see the magnet though.
Well, you won't see it. Well, I don't know. Whatever.
Oh, if I do it
Um,
underneath. Huh? Smart. Okay.
where the
You guys
screen
don't
go?
care. You're like, yeah, do it, Joe. We want to see you burn all your cars.
Oh, video just dropped. Thanks, Pistol Pete. Must have those notifications turned on. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Fishing weight, yeah. Fishing weight always works well, and they have like bars and strips and
Yeah.
folded, and they make a lot for model trains too, because I know some model trains and cars need to be weighed down. But yeah, there we go. There it is. The level 42 and 52 magnets for HO. That's what I was doing, and I would stack them and jam them in there, and that's when I basically melted a car body because the motor got so hot. But that was when I was like testing the extreme, like how fast can I make this car go? But those you can change polarity because there's two magnets, one on each side. We were talking about this, and if you have one, positive facing up and one positive facing down, then it also helps turn that motor even faster, and it just goes nuts. But yeah, anyway. Well, I think we're at a good point, right? We went an hour and a half today.
We did, and it didn't even feel like that, so it was great.
No, and we still got plenty to talk about, but
Guys, this was great.
They're all proving me wrong. They're saying that there's magnets. Everybody makes magnets. Not everybody, but apparently Carrera makes magnets. Apparently Slotted makes magnets. So my theory is shot.
That I knew, but I guess people were just trying to I knew people were sometimes wanting to add magnets, but that's probably more for whatever, you build a car from scratch and you want to add magnets to it or whatnot. So you're going to need someone that, figure out the sizes that actually fit slot cars. I get it. I just wanted to make something really thin. Not obviously, I know not to weigh down the car too much with the magnet, but it was just more like how much can I get before making it a super mag car where it's like unfun, just strictly for speed. But it's all good. Things to think about. I like these chats.
Yeah, these are so much fun. I enjoy this so much, and I'm really grateful that we had a bunch of new live attendees. Rolls are like our diehard, right?
I love Raul, man.
Thick and thin. He's been with us through I think every single episode, which is awesome. Not surprising because he's like super advocate for the community, but really appreciate that support, Raul. But yeah, we've got Mark and Dan still with us. Who else is still with us? Richard's still with us. Pistol Pete. I love that YouTube name. I should have done that. Pistol Pete. My uncles used to call me Pistol Pete when I was little. But yeah, it's always so much fun because we just chat about nonsense. We always talk about on Thursday when we meet before the thing. We're like, okay, these are 4 things we're going to talk about, and this one has been on the list for 4 weeks, 4 episodes, and it's I'm bringing it over this time. But it's because we always just wind up talking about all kinds of other nonsense and whatever, and we're having fun, and I really enjoy taking this time on Saturdays.
I want to make 2 points before we go. One, if you guys haven't seen So Fast Speedway, check out his videos. Ask him about his hot rods. This guy has and builds hot rods. He sent me a bunch of pictures. I'd like you to post them on the Discord if you have a chance, Ron. I'd really appreciate that. And Mark, same thing for you. You're saying you're building a building. I'd love to see it posted in the Discord. Absolutely. Let's get that conversation going. And I want to continue this conversation. Clearly not on video. We've got to go. We have a schedule to respect. I do have people coming over at the same time. But again, I think we should let everybody know about the Discord. And if you guys aren't familiar to it, we're going to put another link in the description. Correct, Pete?
It's in there. I just copied the last.
It's in my bio as well.
But it's in there. Yeah, hit up the description. Click on the link. It's just an invite to. I might actually have to refresh it, but we'll check. Anyway, go on there, say hi, post some comments, post some pictures. We want to see your track. We want to see videos. It's for the community. It's not just the two of us. We just decided to kickstart it and get it going. So we've already got a bunch of you guys in there, which I think is probably a big part of the reason why you're here this morning. So we appreciate it for many different reasons. But yeah, it was it was fun. Yeah, I like that. I just saw that too, right as you saw it. Magnets do have their positives and negatives. Oh man, he's just coming in at the very tail end and just throw us a curveball. Love it, dude. That was awesome. Perfect timing. But looks like Dan's giving us a little heads up Monday. He's got a
Yeah, check out Dan on Monday.
500,000 views. Pretty cool. He's doing a show on Monday for that. That's a live show,
Congrats.
so we'll all be sure to tune in on that. Make sure you post that on the Discord, so we can all see it and make sure we miss it in case the notifications go weird. But I think that's all we've got, right? You got anything
man.
else?
I'm
Hop on
good.
the Discord. It really is fun. Don't be intimidated. Send us a message.
Yeah,
It's a
gives me a
blast.
reason to not pay attention to the in-laws. You know what I mean?
Or work or whatever else is going
I do
on.
that too. What's up, guys?
Everybody have a great day. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday morning with us. This is Saturday Morning Cartoons. We will be back next week. So we'll see you then. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.